Good morning, all. Good morning to you. Good to see you. Good to exchange the pleasantries of bandwidth with you. Here's some photons. Here's some electrical impulses coming into your brain. Episode 105. Lucifer's Oil. Boom, boom, boom. Quick update from Brent Shineman. Campfire Network status report sent via email. 35 of you have written in expressing interest in some sort of a conglomerate or meeting, which is fantastic. And Brent is on top of that. See yesterday's stream for more information. And thank you, Brent, for doing all that legwork. Sorry I was so short with you this morning. Whenever people call me in the morning, I'm always a dick. Why? Because I'm prepping for a show. And I say that to people, but I don't think that they understand how much I'm prepping for the show. So, good morning, Brent, if you can hear me. I have issues. There are things that I am really, really retarded at. And when I say that I have social autism, that's not people laugh and they're like, hey, that's really funny. And I'm glad it's funny, but it's simply a diagnosis. When I get into task, when I want to accomplish something, when I am in the pocket, I am frankly shocked that the entire rest of the world is not in the pocket too, with me, but like digging even harder. And it's a flaw. As I said the other day, I put expectations on people so that I can treat them like shit when they let me down. It's stunning because I've made it this long in life without actually realizing that. With really not being aware. It's harder because some of you think I'm good at something, therefore I should be good at something else that you're good at. I should be as good at all the things that you are good at, plus good at the things I'm good at. And that's really where the disconnect is. You should see things that you think I'm really good at and automatically do the math and say, if that man has an 18 intelligence, his strength is going to be 4. If his dexterity is 18, his wisdom is going to be a 12, right? If his charisma is 18, his everything else is going to suffer. There's these certain things you do the math on. And so, but please do that math on me, especially today, because I have no patience for dicks in the pool today. And I have already shown that this morning. I've ripped some wrenches out. I've said some things. Things have been happening, but I'm going to take advice from a friend of mine and just go with it. This is what you get, fellas. This is what you get. Lucifer's Oil. Let's talk about Lucifer. The last time I tried to talk about Lucifer was last night. And Stacy McStationary, who's changed her name to Stacy Loves the Truth, has issued an all points bulletin against me that I am a false teacher now. And of course, the King James Version says it's bait, give them some truth, they'll kill you, blah, 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 fake truth alert. He wrote some true things about the Rona, but now has come out as a Luciferian Satan worshiper. Okay? She's actually covered up the tweet, but anyway. And this was the tweet. That, by the way, this isn't about Stacy. This, like I said, this is just yesterday. It's just yesterday. Yesterday, I made the bold proclamation that King James invented the idea that Lucifer was evil. He did this while he turned his eyes on every witch he could find and tortured them under his supervision. To hate Lucifer is to hate the morning star. The golden dawn scares the shit out of most people. And that's the truth. Fiat lux. Let there be light. There was a time before King James where people would marvel at the transition of planets through the sky. They would watch their motions and say, what is this chemistry from God? What is this grand music from God coming down? That's called Astro theology. It's the oldest belief structure. I'm not going to even call it a religion. It's the oldest belief structure in the world. It's the source of every single corner of the cross and every single curve of the circle. Every single religion that you could possibly dream of came from astrotheology. So, James, what is astrotheology? It is the study of the luminaries. It is the study of the lights in the sky above. And there was a time where astrology was a science and astronomy was a farce. And we flipped those times. We flipped those times right about the time the zeitgeist became powerful enough to distribute information through a false hole, a sphincter. Before that zeitgeist came, there were planets. And we didn't fear planets. We simply studied them. We understood them. We had compassion for them, not consent. This is what planets used to be. This is Mercury. And this is a heliocentric relative model of Mercury rotating around the sun as you would see it from Earth. And this is Venus. This is Venus creating her spiral above Earth as if you were to go out and mark her position every night and track her throughout the years. This is an 8-year cycle. And here comes Earth. Gaia. The thing we're supposed to curse. The thing made of carbon, right? The 6-pointed star. The thing of all evil, the source of all evil. And here's Jupiter. Oh, another planet, right? That's one eye, so it's Illuminati. Another source of all evil is the planet Jupiter. And Uranus. Of course, we don't have to even go there, do we? Before the zeitgeist came in and literally tainted every fucking planet for you, let's do that again. Here's Mercury, the messenger of the gods. Here's Venus, the Lucifer. Look how evil it is. Look how dangerous and bad it is. Because it's so beautiful, it's dangerous, right? Because it's so dastardly and dangerous, it's beautiful. Before King James, Venus was a planet. In fact, the Greeks would argue that to give anthropomorphism to the luminaries is to defile God. They were actually arguing about that. They were saying, if you were to call the moon, I'm sorry, I forget the name, but if you were to call the moon, not Isis, but this other word for it. If you were to call the moon Isis, if you were to treat her as Isis, you are personifying her, which is to take away from God. And the same argument was with Venus. In fact, Venus had 2 words associated with it. Venus has always been one of the brightest stars in the sky, and you see it mostly at dusk and at dawn. When I say mostly, it's because that's when it's at its brightest. And there's a word for Venus at dusk. And there's a word for Venus at dawn. And at dusk, it's noctifer, noctiferous. The noctifer. What is the noctifer? It is the bringer of darkness. It is the setting of the sun. It's the forewarning. Venus is telling you what's coming in the future. She is divining herself through the etheric oil and telling you the sun is going down. Noctifer. That is the fall of light. And in the morning, something different happens. Because before the sun comes up, Venus tells you the dawn is coming. And when Venus is in the morning sky, it's called Luciferus. Lucifer. And to bring a golden dawn, to bring a coming dawn, to be the morning star, if you think about that word means, it means that you would have to live in darkness for her to exist. There would have to be a period of darkness for there to be a bringer of the morning star. In fact, if you did not have darkness, you could not bring a morning, could you? So Noctifer is to bring the darkness, and Lucifer is to bring the light. And people like Stacy don't like light. People like Stacy think that the best thing that they could do is simply fear every planet, every luminary, depending on your cosmology, and understand that anyone who's trying to give you light is trying to fool you. That's what Stacy thinks. That's why I'm a false light. I asked Stacy, I said, Stacy, could you please point me to or do a thread where you can explain how Lucifer is evil? And Stacy's answer is, must I do a thread about Lucifer is evil, guys? I thought that was self-evident. And she justifies that because she's, as it says, she's battling for the eternal souls of men. And Stacy is one of many, just yesterday. But it's a constant thing that I fight most of my life, since I was about 7. Since I was about 7, when I started asking questions and I started trying to figure out things. When I said to myself, Fiat Lux, let there be light. And I would like for you guys to consider the Astro theology of Lucifer for today. I'd like for you to consider you're going to have to peel off a lot of shit. The first layer you're going to have to peel off is Stacy, is people in your circle who are playing Pizzagate with you. How does that work? Pizzagate works like this. If you are not as outraged as I am about X topic, you were uninformed. That's the measure of truth, is outrage. Truth is outrage, okay? One is woke in the community if they are outraged by Pizzagate. One is asleep or in denial or a Luciferian pedophile if they're not outraged by Pizzagate. Even my take on Wayfair with Sarah Ruth Ashcraft, even that take, I was labeled a Luciferian because of that. Because what I was trying to tell you guys is, hey, while we are sucking at the teat of Pizzagate, we're sending our kids to school in masks. And if you were to compare those two outrage factors, one has a lot more outrage in it. I would argue that Pizzagate is sugar and truth is fruit. And if you have a diet of sugar all the time, you're not going to appreciate or understand truth. You're going to measure your flavorings, your desires, your appetites by what has the most sugar in it. Because sugar becomes truth. Outrage is truth. And that's how Pizzagate works. That's the engine of Pizzagate. It's the engine of every single detail you will hear from the zeitgeist. Because we know if it required fuel to get to you, it's propaganda. If it requires fuel, it's propaganda. If it's propaganda, it's going to be coated in sugar. It's going to have something to it that's going to attract you, like a red squirrel to a sunflower seed. Every single person in the truth movement, in QAnon, in Pizzagate, in anything at all, any of these topics at all, has had one thing that they tend to say or agree with. It's the phrase dark to light. Dark to light. And these same people are running from you, claiming that we have to burn down the Luciferians. Tiffany Fitzhenry is a perfect example of this. Tiffany Fitzhenry, a personality on Twitter, doesn't have the ability to criticize Israel. She doesn't have the ability to criticize Zionism. All she can do is prop up a scarecrow and call it a Luciferian. And tens of thousands of people will retweet that because it has the right amount of sugar. It's the titty girl running through the forest on Friday the 13th compared to a multi-car pileup where 6 people die on the scene after a sucking chest wound. These are different kinds of horror. One has titties in it. One is coated in sugar. The other is coated in blood. It's coated in icky, icky horror. It's real. It's coated in authenticity. And if you look around, if you look at Stacy's tirade against me, if you look at Tiffany's tirade against anyone except for Zionists, anyone except for Jews, anyone except for the actual elite operating Hollywood itself, you find that there is a market. There's a Liz Crokin, Tiffany Fitzhenry, Sarah Ruth Ashcraft, Stacey McStationary, Amazing Polly market for propaganda coated in sugar, for outrage juice, outrage heroin. And the word Lucifer is perfect. It's perfect because it allows you to funnel everything into a group that you don't actually ever see in the world. You don't. The last time you saw a Luciferian was last night when Stacy pointed to you one, and she was pointing to me. That was the last Luciferian that the Truth Movement caught. And people agreed. 911 truther. I unfollowed James True. Excellent. As I mentioned, he has some good content, but was continually building up his YouTube following. I don't even know what he says on there because I don't watch, but I'm sure he's a Luciferian. These are the Luciferians we capture. We capture each other in a game of tag. Like someone coming on the live stream where I'm debunking Pizzagate and posting saying, no, you have to see this video. If you see this video, it will absolutely prove that Pizzagate's real, but I'm not going to be calling the police. You would not watch Friday the 13th and pick up the phone and go, 911. Yeah, I'd like to report an attempted murder. Oh my God, what's happening? All right, there's this chick. She's by the canoe. She's on the dock. She's heaving. Yeah, no, not throwing up. Like her breasts are heaving. Yes, she's heaving. She's heaving. She's heaving. Oh my God, she's running. She's running. She's running. Oh, she tripped. Okay, she's tripped. You're not going to call 911 for that. But you're going to take it out there to the food court and say, look at this truth. And people are going to mistake it because they're going to think outrage is truth. And you're going to slide right in. You're going to slide right in because we need these things. We need community. That's what it is. We need community. And we form tribes around energy, don't we? And one of the energies that we would form a tribe around is outrage. We would form a tribe around camaraderie, around art, around music, around comedy, around people, around other truth, right? And we would also form that around outrage. I would say to you that most of the religion that you see in the world is built off outrage. I would go so far as to say Astro theology was no longer considered a worthy enough fruit when it was compared to this sugar drops of theism that came later, of immaculate births, of immaculate conceptions, of divine royal bloodline, of human blood sacrifice. Do you follow me? Blood sacrifice, of crusades, of genital cutting, male and female, of wars, and of Rome itself, like the culture itself, right? Think about what we talked about from Mithras, right? Actually, let's go back. Let's go back to Isis. Let's go all the way back to Isis. What is Venus? Venus is Isis. Lucifer, Venus, Isis. The female, the divine female, is Venus. The divine female is Isis. What did the church do? What did the church do with females? What did the idea, what was demonology about? King James's first book. What was that about? That was the systemic, psychopathic manual to the torturing and killing of herbalists, of females, practicing medicine, practicing the technology of belief. Females were hung and burned for telling an old man that this cane she made him had a horse head at the top, and that as he walked in the field and his back hurt, if he would simply massage this horse's head, that he would feel better. And as the man goes out in the field, he realizes the only way he could massage that horse head and still walk is if he used it as a cane. And we looked at that Venus, we looked at that kind of magic, we looked at that kind of technology and called it witchcraft. And we burned it at the stake. We did a Stacy McStationary. And I wasn't burned at the stake, by the way. I'm not trying to say that. We've come a long way. We have a great awakening happening. This shows you the progress we've made. We've gone from that to Twitter campaigns. It's marvelous progress. I'm proud of Stacy. She's come far. She also has no bullets. She's also fighting a battle that she knows she wants to lose. She's punching a straw man, like Tiffany Fitzhenry. That's why Roseanne Barr is now teamed with her. Her idea of destroying Hollywood ended her up in bed with Roseanne Barr, protecting and creating the new Hollywood. There's a different kind of light, and we're told that if you as man start to harness your morality from inside yourself, that you are Luciferian and you are now evil. And that you have fallen for the trick, right? The trick of it all. The grand trick is that apparently people are dangling torches and they want us to take them. And the moment we do, we've fallen for the trick, which means now we've disappointed God. So God is dangling a torch, and if we try and get it, he's mad. We have failed him. And so the only answer is we have to fear Fiat Lux. We have to fear the morning star. That we have to look up at the luminaries and see this as true evil. That all of this movement around us is here to make it bad, to make life hard. This is germ theory. And out of that hard, something so beautiful and false like Venus comes in, and it's there to fool us. It's there to make us believe that God does want us. That God does think that our spine, made up of 7 chakras, deserves to be enlightened. That man would deserve to take that light from God and hold it up like a torch and reach samsara, illumination, enlightenment, Nindawan, or Odin mind, whatever you want it is, right? That you have this quest for fire, but it's evil for you to have that quest. And that what God wants you to do is have this quest inside of you and resist it. And resist all ideas that suggest that you yourself would have a morality, because your morality has to come from God. And if you were to create your own morality, that's the grand illusion. That's the failure. And let's look at that for a sec. Let's say that we are not capable of morality, and we are faulty and in sin to think that we could be. So how do we get our morality? If we are not the ones in charge of making moral decisions, of championing morality ourselves, if we are not the agricultural framework for all morality, how are we supposed to be moral? How are we supposed to do the right thing? And the only answer I can think of that Stacey McStationary would say is, well, it's the Bible. You have to get your morality out of the Bible. And once you get it out of the Bible, then you're good. Which means you obey. This is the science of obeying. It's the science of slavery. It's the science of anti-sovereignty is what it is. It's you cannot be trusted outside the fence. Put yourself in the fence. Obey the Bible and you will now be moral. So we've equated obey with morality. To obey is to be moral. And I ask you to really consider that idea. Are those the same? And if they are, why do we have a rule called moral? Why don't we just have obedient? Why don't we say he was an obedient man? If we understand that God is our source of morality, why do we not call that obedient? He showed good obedience today. We don't, because obedience is not morality. That morality itself is a challenge. Morality is something that must be rendered and pulled. It must be churned. It's an alchemical equation, isn't it? You're faced with two sides, two decisions. If you're lucky, you're faced with two. One has more morality than the other. This situation is not outlined in the Bible. You cannot turn to page 36 and say, yeah, here's what to do. You can't fucking do that. You have to divine morality. You have to divine it. Yes, divination. You have to look at the puzzle with as much compassion and energy as you can and define what you feel is the best moral decision. And thank goodness you have a Godhead in your mind. You have an eternal judgment in your mind that will spend the rest of your life torturing you or rewarding you for how well you did. But we are told that we do not make our own morality. And I would say to you that it would be impossible to extract your morality from a Bible. The only way you could extract that is you would need a lot more words. You know what you need? You'd need an oral tradition. Thousands of years of oral tradition where people have grappled and grappled with these morals and have written an answer for you. You would need the Talmud. You would need the fucking Talmud to get your morality. If morality doesn't come from you, you would need to get it from the Talmud. And what is the Talmud but the oral tradition? But James, it's written down. No, it's not. All right? Yes, it's written down, but it was written down after 3,000 years of them talking about it. It's an oral tradition. Of course it was written down. Everything's been written down. I can go to a recipe and say, this cream pie is the written tradition, but it's not. The intent of that is the cream pie came first, then someone wrote it. What is oral tradition, my friends? What is Talmudic thinking? It's majority rule. What is majority rule but zeitgeist rule? Where are you getting your morality if it's not written down in a book and you're not allowed to get it from yourself? Survey says the zeitgeist. You are getting your morality from the zeitgeist. And how does that work? It works like Stacy. It works like this shit. It works like, well, I will unfollow James True because you told me that he's a Luciferian and I don't like Luciferians, therefore I will unfollow him. And what was it I said? King James invented the idea Lucifer was evil. He did this while he turned his eyes on every witch he could find and tortured them under his supervision. To hate Lucifer is to hate the morning star. The golden dawn scares the shit out of most people. That's evil. The Talmudic zeitgeist tells you this is moral. And that's what the truth movement is now. That's what Pizzagate is now. That's what all of these mysteries that we follow are. That's what the coronavirus is, right? It's the zeitgeist telling you something. The zeitgeist is telling you that the moral thing to do is put your mask on. The zeitgeist of Babylon is telling you the moral thing to do is to run off and be a Hollywood star. The zeitgeist is telling you you should have sodomy every June, or else you're homophobic. The zeitgeist is telling you that you're toxic and you're evil. And so what I see instead is people who claim that morals do not come from inside yourself are literally picking and choosing morals from the zeitgeist buffet, the ones that they think are the best. Which is like the worst version of morality you could possibly imagine, because you're only going to be able to feed right decisions from a trough that's been regurgitated from people like fucking Stacy McStationary. That's where you're going to get your morality. And because Stacy McStationary has a lot more followers than I do, that becomes the truth. That becomes the morality of it all. And the idea of Astro theology is thrown out. The idea of Venus having an eight-year cycle that forms the pentagram. It forms a pentagram, guys. Venus forms a pentagram. Right now, there are people that are typing and it's going click, 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 click. And then when I said Venus forms a pentagram, it goes click, 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 squish, 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 squish. And they can no longer see their monitor. They have freaked the fuck out because I said pentagram. They freaked out because you're about to see that pentagram is both up and down. And they freak out at the symbol of woman. The association of Satan with Lucifer comes from Jerome's Latin translation of Isaiah 14:12. Hebrew, Hallel, shining one, i.e. Venus. Latin equals Lucifer, lightbringer, morning star, Venus. It was King James's Bible, the very, very first time that Lucifer was used as a proper name. It was never used as a proper name before that. To tell me that Lucifer is Satan is to follow this guy. This guy. This guy. This guy. This is the guy that told you Lucifer is Satan. This is the guy that told you herbalists need to be burned at the fucking stake. This is the guy that told you that no poultice can be administered and spoken at the same time. That all verbal speech meant to heal is hereby considered demonic. This guy told you your tongue is sin. This guy told you your tongue is evil. And the same guy told you Lucifer is evil. That the rising morning star is evil. That the woman is evil. He's telling you the female is evil. And we buy it. We buy this shit because we're not on a truth train. We're on an outrage train. And that's how we get there. The reason why Lucifer is seen as a hermaphrodite is because it came out of Isis. And what do the dick cutters do? What did the dick cutters do? Like Tiffany Fitzhenry. What did she do? She goes, hey, this is great. I don't like fucking Isis either. This is the archetype. This is what happens in the archetype. I don't like Isis either. I'm going to call Isis Satan. So what do? How do I mix Isis and Satan at the same time? I'm mixing a man with a woman, and I fucking hate them. So you end up creating this Baphomet You end up creating a character, this hermaphroditic character that you can run from. So every morning, before dawn, you are running away. You were like, no, that's false. This isn't real. None of this is real. This is dangerous. And you're treating the idea that God dangles a torch at you to torture you with the thought that you might be worthy of it. That's what you believe. You believe that how dare I think that I am a child of God? How dare I think that my 7-pointed system is worthy of light? How dare I think that the Noctifer would come again and bring a new dawn, that God himself made a promise that the sun would return. And I have to take that image. I have to take all those promises. I have to take all that beauty. Think about it. In the morning, before the dawn comes up, there's one light bearer, one endowment in the sky telling you, don't worry. I can see the light. It is coming. That is evil. That means Luciferian pedophile cult, the one that's running everyone, the one that they worship Lucifer and they enslave children. People of the chat, please, right now, I'm begging you, can you post story, just one story, proving or showing that there is such a thing as a Luciferian child sacrifice? And while some of you are looking for that, other people in the chat, I'm asking you, I'm begging you, can you please show me one proof of a Luciferian takedown, of any proof at all, that there is a Luciferian cult? What is it that makes them Luciferian? What is that part of it that you're like, no, these are all Luciferians? Because that's what we need to stop. That's what we need to fix. Because until we can fix them, we can't get back to the real problem. There are dick cutters running Hollywood, and those dick cutters have sold you the idea that Lucifer is the problem. Thank you for the super chat, Ripson. Super chat test. I see it. We got other super chats too. Thank you, guys. This is a big topic, though. I don't see proof. I see a lot of comments like, yeah, well, this and this. I don't see proof. Can you show me where in the literature for Planned Parenthood does it say we are Luciferian, that we are the light bringers, and that we are the ones that are trying to enslave you? Like where is that? Because I can see it in Satan. Satan is the fall, right? Lucifer is the rise. Guys, it's a fucking piston. It's a piston. Here's man. Here's man, right here. It's a piston. Satan is the fall. Lucifer is the rise. Satan, Lucifer. Noctifer, Noctiferous, Luciferus. How do you get a morning star? You have to have darkness. When man is brought to earth, he is exposed to Satan. He's exposed to Mars. He's exposed to war. He's exposed to salt. He is dipped in salt. When man is born, he is dipped in salt. He is surrounded by satanic evacuation. He's surrounded by 72 vaccines. He's surrounded by circumcision. He's surrounded by evil. He's surrounded by people that are running around burning herbalists and calling them Luciferian. That is Satan. Satan is the fall. What does the sun do when it goes down? What we think goes down. It falls. It falls from the sky, and we enter what? Darkness. So we're saying that's evil, but now we're also saying, not done. Lucifer's also evil. The rising star, that's also fucking evil, dude. So we've established that the sunset and the sunrise are evil fucking shit, man. They are so evil. Holy fuck, they're evil. And none of you, the only person that will give you that data is fucking Siri. Right? Siri, define Lucifer.
Another name for Satan. Do you want to hear the next one?
The next one, the planet Venus when it rises in the morning, is what she says. But the first thing she's going to tell you is, oh no, that's another name for Satan. Is Siri God? Or is Siri zeitgeist? Which is closer? Is Siri a cross-dressing boy who wants to torture herbalists by fire? Who hates women so much that he scourges and casts the female energy itself as Satan? The reason why people fear the Golden Dawn is not because the Luciferians are there to enslave you. It's because people fear having light inside their body. They fear having themselves awakened. We were not born awakened and Satan came and took it from us, my friends. We were born in darkness. We are the living embodiment of man, dipped in salt and raised in oil. Satan, dipped in salt. Imagine my finger dipped in salt. Raised in oil. Imagine my finger dipped in oil. Male, Mars, Satan. Lucifer, Venus, female. This is a piston. This is a circle. It's a circle. You could call this entire thing an alchemical journey. We talked about this, but some of you guys might not have seen it. We could say that the ideal... I need to work on what the side of my head looks like. I know that, guys. I'll get there. We have the top. We have the Christ. We have the Krishna. We have the ideal man. We have the man ideal in his full richness and ideal. Right? Then we have man. The 5-pointed star, man, right? The Penta. The Vitruvian. And what happens to man? He falls into male. He falls into salt. And after he steeps in Satan for a while, he says, hey, this darkness sucks. I would like to come out of here. I would like to find my way back to the light. And how does he get there? When the moment you look up and you see someone holding a torch, you're too busy making posts about how fucking evil he is. We gotta stay down here. That fucking guy's got a torch, man. We're gonna rape us all. We need compassion. We need the magic of the divine feminine to pull us out, to take us back, to God. Now, this is a binary picture of this, meaning it's just like top and bottom. But if you truly look at the alchemical transformation we're talking about, it's a spiral, isn't it? Because every day there's another Stacy stationary, and you can either go up in your enlightenment, right? Or you can go down, right? That's Satan. This is Lucifer. And these are calcinations of that same cycle, right? Clockwise would say, let's say that's up, and counterclockwise, right, would be down. So, this is your NASA. Whoops, sorry, I did that wrong. Satan, NASA, the adversary, the fooler. Think about it, the one who fools you is Satan. But we're saying, no, Lucifer is the one that fools you. What happens in a world of inversion? Don't you end up being told that the good guys are bad and the bad guys are good? So why are we saying, well, yeah, so there's Satan. He's totally a deceiver, don't worry. But seriously, there's another deceiver who's even bigger, and his name's Lucifer. And he's beautiful, and he brings you dawn, and he shows you the way, and he tells you you're worthy. He tells you that hey man, you're the best source of morality in the world. You are actually a morality farm. And that without you, there would be no morality in the world, because we see what orca whales do to baby humpbacks. We see that. So we need man, we need you to bring the morality, right? But no, we can't, because the Luciferian's evil. We can't have this idea of lighting your own torch. We can't, because it's a hermaphrodite. And that's why we can't. Because we cannot take this Mars and add some Venus to it. We can't have that. Because the only way that works is bad. And that's what you end up getting into, because you're surrounded by so much dissonance. And, most importantly, because you don't trust your center. You don't trust your own moral code. So you need others to tell you this truth. Because your morality can't come from you, can it? It has to come from outside of you, which means you have to buy into these ideas. God always gives you, always gives you a dance, doesn't he? Everything God does here is a dance. Look at the seasons. Look at you starting out as a baby, moving your way up through childhood, becoming an adult, becoming a parent yourself, right? All these are alchemical translations, transmutations, movements. God always takes you back from where you started. He always gives you a vehicle to move. There's not one thing in God's world that doesn't tell you that, unless you hate nature, unless you despise anyone who's enlightened, unless you despise anyone who tries to hold their morality, unless you resent anyone who's dared to grab the torch. Can't you see what's happening with our mythology, my friends? Mythology is a living canvas matrix that we use to express how our collective self feels about different ideas. That's why when you look through mythology, you see mythology changing. Before I changed mythology, I did it. I'm such a badass writer that I was able to change the mythology of Medusa in my book, The Technology of Belief. I was able to cast my alchemy into that mythology and have you guys see Medusa with compassion. And no one else had done that before. That's why I did it. I saw an opportunity to change the zeitgeist, even if it's in a small way. It shows that I'm real. It shows that I have a shadow that's reflected in the world by the sun, and that shadow's not evil. That shadow is a witness. The sun is your eternal witness. That's why you always have an eternal shadow. We need to feel that witness. We need to feel that we are able to make a transmutation into all of us. And now when people read this story about Medusa, just a tiny few, the ones who read that story, see Medusa in a whole new light. They see why someone who suffers a rape that's so horrific, that her face itself, because of the way empathy transmutes through the brain, that anyone who was to see that rape victim, that they would see that pain in her face, and it would be so brutal and so cruel it would turn their heart to stone. But I'm the Luciferian, because I'm in the back changing wires in our mythology. I'm like, wait a minute, some fucking crossdresser came in here and tied Satan with Lucifer together. Who the fuck did that? And so I get back in there, I'm just like, fuck that. And someone's like, you can't change that. You can't change that, says Stacey McStationary. How dare you? And that's why we're still steeping in Satan. That's why we're still down here in the salt. Well, I thought I had a pen. That's why we're still down here in the salt. We're steeping like a tea bag in Satan. Yep. We're getting teabagged by Satan right now, folks. And anyone who tries to talk about a golden dawn, anyone who tries to talk about rising up out of that, is called evil. And it makes sense only if you understand that the reason why we like it here is because we fear our own power. And if you look at the story of Lucifer and Prometheus especially, look at Prometheus. Prometheus is tortured in the most cruel, inhumane way for the rest of eternity. That is mankind freaking out, going, I don't want to jump off the nest. I don't want to fly. I don't want to fly. If I try and fly, an eagle will come and rip out my spleen every day while I'm chained to a rock. That's what the little bird is telling its mother. I don't want to go. And that's what you're doing by denying the oil of Venus. You're saying the salt was so bad, I can't even fucking fathom the oil. Please go away. Please go away. Please go away. And you're not out of the frying pan in the fire. You're just in the frying pan going, I don't want to go to the fire. I don't want to go to the fire. I don't want to go to the fire. This is an alchemical movement we all have to do. And if you want to call me Luciferian, it'll be because I'm saying this. The Bible is training wheels. The Bible was here to give you training wheels. That's why it started in the Old Testament with brutality. You will obey me, and I will extract your obedience from me in measures that are so strong, I will see if you will go so far as to possibly murder your son. And then he's able to ease off, isn't it? Lord Technology is able to step back in the Old Testament and go to the New Testament and say, now I will shower you with unwavering love and forgiveness. Guys, do I have to point this out? What is the Old Testament? It's fucking Mars. What is the New Testament? It's Venus. The New Testament is Lucifer. Lucifer. Did King James want the New Testament? Without religion, how would King James rule? Why do you think he literally went gathering herbalists? Herbalists. Those beautiful women you see on YouTube that are like, yeah, I grew this tea. We're going to have some. We're going to get in sync. And King James comes in and goes, I will smite you. And he fucking kills her. And he's the one telling you to fear Lucifer. He's the one telling you to freak the fuck out over that shit. Isaiah 14:12. This is where King James changed the Bible. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? Before this translation, that was probably the king of Babylon. And that King James changed the reference to the king of Babylon to Lucifer. This is the dance of all the planets. It's beautiful. Astro theology. We've taken astro theology and turned it into this. Turn it into a fear porn of the morning star. A fear porn. This right now, assembly of light bearers. This is your modern Luciferian church. They want to break the chains. They want you to see, and they're arming you with Prometheus. I'm not trying to convert you into Luciferians. I don't even understand why anyone needs to be anything. I just think we should study. I just think we should learn shit, guys. This is beautiful, but it's an inverted pentagram, isn't it? It's inverted. It's female. It's evil. That's what you're hearing. And they're calling it so evil that they miss something as profound as this quote, guys. Revelation 22:16. I, Jesus, have sent my angel to give you this testimony for the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David and the bright morning star. Jesus is telling you, as the offspring of David, he's freaking telling you, I am, come on, pen, I am the Mars and the Venus. I am Christ consciousness. I am the man steeped in salt and covered in oil, anointed in oil. I am the living cross. Think about man as an empty slate. Think about man as in need of marination. And that we are sent here to this earth to marinate ourselves in the salt and the oil. And the reason why the salt burned so much is because we thought we were being ruled by Luciferian pedophiles. We were believing the stories of Tiffany Fitzhenry. We were believing the stories of Stacey McStationary, Sarah Ruth Ashcraft. We were believing these ideas that there is a secret Pizzagate cult right now, and we don't have time to fuck with masks on your kids. We don't have time to think about decentralized government. We don't have time to do this. We have to fucking stop the satanic Luciferian pedophiles that run Pizzagate. And that's how you abandon the crash scene on the side of the road. You drive right by it. You drive right by 5 people dying. So you can run to the movie theater and watch titties running through the forest going, Luciferians are gonna get me! And guess what? You're not grabbing the torch, are you? No. You're not grabbing the torch. You're running from the torch. And it's funny, because if you run from the torch, aren't you just keeping yourself in salt? Aren't you basically saying, I love Satan. I love the fallen. I love man's falling so much that I'm going to stay here and I'm going to point to people like James and go, there's the Luciferian. And I'm going to create a whole network where we're going to bash Hollywood, and I'm going to bring in the elite Hollywood people to help me do it. And we're going to brand ourselves as Luciferian hunters. And you guys are going to buy sweatshirts from me that say the deep state is real. And we're going to fight this deep state together because we have to get those Luciferians. Because dark to light, dark to light, dark to light. There is a planet up there, a luminary, whatever you want to call it. There is a luminary up there that God set in the sky to guide you. And he called it Venus. And we as man loved Venus so much when we were Astro theologians that we called it 2 things. Think about how profound that is. That we're calling Venus Noctifer as it falls and Lucifer as it rises. That is beautiful. And if we want to hate the rising of that, because a cross-dressing fucking woman hater rounded up a bunch of herbalists and told everybody it's evil to get a poultice, to get a cane, to get a potion, to get a blessing from a woman. It's another fall of man, isn't it? And it's cool. Guys, it's cool. We are here to fall. We are here to rise. There's not a fucking thing wrong with you falling. Fall. Crash, smash. Crash and smash into the earth. Make your hole deep, man. Turn yourself into a smoldering fucking hump of just steaming death carbon that died from this crash. Do it. Because you won't die. You'll be in that heap as you're devastated by the fault you made, by the fall that you incurred, that you will find that the only thing you can see, hear, or experience is your own heartbeat. And you will be reborn. You will be reborn in that fall. That salt is the memory of the fall. The oil is the transmutation of its rising. You are marinating in God's gravy right now. This whole world. This ether is God's gravy. And you are marinating in it. And it's not even wrong to dip yourself in salt. You will not understand morality without it. You will never be the Jesus. Think about it. Didn't Jesus go into the desert with Satan for 60 days? Sorry, I can't remember exactly how many days, but it was a long time. He was hanging with Satan in the desert. He was steeping with Satan. He was marinating with Satan. Jesus was a compassion vehicle, not a rejection vehicle. Jesus would have brought compassion to every moment, including this one. I, Jesus, have sent my angel to give you this testimony for the churches. I am the fucking root. What is salt? What does Benjamin Balderson tell you? Where does he tell you to get your salt? He fucking tells you to get it from your root. The offspring of David. The bright morning star. I don't need you to rise. I don't need you to be nice to the word Luciferian. I don't even need you to stop calling me a Luciferian. I don't give a shit. Because I don't listen to the zeitgeist. I don't derive my morality by the number of people who agree with me. I used to do that, but I learned a long time ago that is how I get abandoned. When I was with my wife, and I was accused of some bad things, all those people abandoned me, and I knew right away. I never, ever, 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 ever wanted to get my morality from these people. This is fucked up. And I needed that fall. I needed that steep in the salt. I needed to find that oil when everyone else told me it was wrong. It was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Make this cycle count. Make it count, man. Find the cross. Regardless of where you are, find it. And use the tools that God gave you to complete that circuit in whichever way you want to go. There's not a proper place to be here, guys. Think about it. There's no way you could live here. You couldn't. If you were born and lived there, it would be pointless. You'd learn nothing from this experience. You'd learn nothing. It's a beautiful place we have. You can't fuck up. You can't fuck up. This is not a battle between good and evil. I will keep saying this. Put it on my tombstone and then so you can come piss on it. That's fine. This is not a battle between good and evil. This is a battle between you and the lack of you. And the lack of you keeps you frozen. It keeps you frozen in fucking Marsville, right? It keeps you frozen there. Don't be frozen there. Don't be afraid. Nindawan is the word for Lucifer in Cherokee. It's torchbearer. If you can picture what life was like before electricity, can you see why King James would want to shit on the one in the village who was considered the torchbearer? Can you see how important it was for him to extinguish all the light from every herbal medicinal witch doctor? This is a systematic chopping of everything, of every vine down except for one. The Tower of Babel. And that's why when you look at people that are pretending, when they're pretending to fight for truth, when they're pretending to try and destroy Hollywood, you find that what they're doing is climbing the Tower of Babel. The same Tower of Babel that King James made on the back of Venus. You guys, you don't understand how amazing you are. And you don't understand how much potential you have, how powerful you are. And you're missing the idea that you fear. There's a part of you that fears that power. And it comes out in your fear of anything that involves bringing of light, that anything involves raising a torch, that anything involves standing up for yourself and finding that your cross, the living cross inside you, is an antenna for morality. And because that antenna is inside of you, that means that morality comes from inside of you. I've warned you all the time about relativists, right? So will you enter into a relativistic morality? But those people are not inside themselves. If they were, they would know which way's up all the time. They are outside of themselves. They are looking at the gyro itself and saying, well, which way is the gyro turned? That's up. That's what up is now. And that requires an evacuation to find that. You can tune in to God. That's where your morality comes from. And if you hate yourself, you're not tuning into God. If you're evacuating yourself, you're not tuning into God. If you're trying to see what Stacey McStationary is going to say before you can have a thought, you're not tuning into God. If you're fighting a secret squad of underground Luciferian pedophiles that have a submarine on Epstein Island, you were not tuning into God. You were tuning into the fucking zeitgeist. Every bit of it. And I know this is scary because it's supposed to be. Prometheus is supposed to be scared. God does not hand you fire. You will burn your shit up. Your hair will go up in flames, and then you will be looking at God and calling him the evil one for burning all your fucking hair off. He cannot give you fire. He has to have you take it. That's why he dangles it so close to you, my friends. What are you doing when you have a family? What are you doing when you buy land and you plant your feet in the soil? You're taking the torch from God. You're letting him pass you that torch. And you're creating that exact same system that exists in God's world on your land. You are rising to the challenge of oil because you see an opportunity through the rising star. And as we hate the Illuminati, which fine, hate the Illuminati, but if you truly look at what the Illuminati wants, if you truly look at what Ben Franklin wanted, he wanted all of you to be philosopher kings that didn't need a sheet of paper, that didn't need a credential. He wanted you to be philosopher kings that were lighting the way for others, that understood their power came from inside their own ability to discern and make and render morality in this world. And that requires the opposite of evacuation. That requires your undivided attention. This is an alchemical journey. You can take it or not. And you can write it down. Some of us need to fall. Some of us will notice we have an addiction and we need to fall. When I have an issue, when I have an incident with donuts, I'm choosing to ride the spiral down. I'm choosing to fall. And even though I've chosen that, I now have an opportunity to rise again. I can make up for that. And that is a transaction. To go down and come back up is still to learn something. I've learned and released something. These are all necessary works. This is the great work, guys. And the great work is never going to have a bunch of Stacey McStationaries going, I'm so great, I love your tweet about that, this is just fantastic. No, you're going to get the exact opposite. The exact opposite's going to happen. Just like now in the chat, there's so many dicks in the pool. There's so many dicks in the pool about this. By the way, guys, most of you guys are taking this great, which is awesome. I don't mean to single that out. But seriously, the pool is full of dicks on this subject. And it's insane. In fact, I'm probably going to have to stop this whole... I don't know what I'm going to do. This is all part of learning. I'm glad we're learning. I'm glad this is difficult. Thanks for the super chat about astrotheology. Rachel, you're right. Thank you for this. I've spent my whole life defending astrotheology. Thank you. Yes, and we've abandoned astrotheology, haven't we? We abandoned what Jesus originally said. He said, this rock. He said, Peter, you are like this rock. And on this rock I will build my church. And what is this rock? What is the ancient word for rock? What is the oldest word in the world for rock? It's Petra, the source of astrotheology. And we've gotten so far away from that because we're running from titties in the woods. Going, it's got horns and he's got a big, giant, wicked cocktail. And he's going to fuck me with it. So we got to run from the Luciferian. And we've created this system because it's fun. Because it has outrage calories. And because it keeps our mind off the truth. That it's time to rise, my friends. There's a recipe for a giant. And it requires salt and oil. You start with man, add some salt, get them all pissed off, and wait for his compassion, so he'll raise himself like a yeast and find that oil. Now we're talking. Now we have a sovereign man. And that's the purpose of this entire garden. I guarantee you, you are here to rise. You are here to exercise your instrument in the most beautiful way possible. You are here to create these patterns in your own life. This is the best apocalypse ever. And you guys are not going to be able to get through this if you're hating on all this stuff, especially without understanding it. Whether it be Masons, whether it be Luciferians, whether it be Pizzagate, whether it be any of these issues, you are having your precious, precious prana sucked from you. And it's sucked from you from the moment you try and wake up in the morning, because you're like, oh, I can't like that bringer of light. How dare that bringer of light comes? Find your root, man. Find your root and your oil. I, Jesus, have sent my angels to give you this testimony for the churches. I am the root and the bright morning star. James out.